With 6 races left in the 2025 F1 season, the grid heads to the Circuit of the Americas in Texas this weekend. With the top 3 in the Drivers' Championship finishing in reverse order last time out, every race is vital to this season's biggest prize. Piastri leads Norris by 22 points, with Verstappen another 41 points behind. It isn't an understatement to say that every single point could make the difference at this stage of the season. While the McLaren drivers have been leading the championship all year, Verstappen's chase has been incredible. While McLaren turn their attention to next season, Red Bull have managed to find improvements in their car with some small upgrades and setup changes. Since Horner has left the team, Red Bull have been transformed. But is it enough to get Verstappen to the driver's title? Well, today I'll check out how they've done it and talk about the huge boost that Red Bull just gave to Max for next season. So don't go anywhere. As the 2025 season progressed, there were serious worries at Red Bull that they wouldn't just be outside of the Drivers' Championship fight, but that Verstappen could end up out of the top 5. Talk of contract clauses that would allow him to leave Red Bull before next season were very serious. If Red Bull couldn't turn around their form, they could have lost their prized asset. And the team made the decision to remove Christian Horner, partly to try and inject some fresh ideas into the team to try and turn around their form, and partly to remove a piece that the board saw as too powerful. Red Bull's new team principal Laurent Mekies has been very clear that he can take no credit for the turnaround during his tenure, but the timing of his appointment and Red Bull's improvement is far more than a coincidence. Verstappen has spoken about how the team aren't attempting wild ideas to try and fix their problems anymore. Laurent Mekies' engineering background means that Red Bull are being much more methodical with their setup changes to try and resolve the car's problems. You only have to look at the results on track to see that it's working as well. From the Monaco Grand Prix, when Horner was still in charge, to the Hungarian Grand Prix, by which time Mekies was in charge, Verstappen only took to the podium once. By his standards, 1 podium in 7 races is appalling. By that point, he should have been completely out of the Drivers' Championship challenge, but 4 straight podiums since then have turned his fortunes around. If, and it is still a very big if, but if he and Red Bull can pull this off, it would be the most incredible comeback in F1 history. However, it isn't just setup changes that have turned the RB21 from a dump truck into a rocket ship. After the summer break, the regular flow of upgrades that follow an F1 season essentially ended. Most teams turned all their attention to 2026, but there have been some upgrades which appear to be making all the difference. For example, in Singapore, Red Bull and Mercedes snuck new front wings onto their cars. Both teams have continued to introduce aerodynamic updates in this area over recent races, despite most resources now being directed toward their 2026 cars. Mercedes, in Belgium at the end of July, and Red Bull, in the Netherlands a month later, had already introduced specific front wing modifications to try to end the season on a high note. That Red Bull front wing perfectly coincided with Verstappen's return to the podium. With the new front wing, Mercedes' George Russell has finished in the top 5 at every race. The results are there to see. The work by both teams on the most aero-critical part of the car has worked. The race are now reporting that the new front wings from both teams are designed to find a way around the new flexible front wing rules that the FIA introduced at the Spanish Grand Prix earlier this season. This shouldn't come as a big surprise to anyone. The teams are always allowed to work within the rules to make the most of the opportunities available to them. As long as the front wings pass the new load tests that the FIA have introduced, then it doesn't matter if they flex under load during the race, they're still legal in the eyes of the FIA. If the regulations weren't being overhauled next season, then it's pretty likely that every team would have introduced new front wings by now to get around the new regulations. Red Bull's new front wing isn't just about reducing drag at high speeds though. The new front wing specification is a result of continuous aerodynamic development aimed at reducing understeer on the RB21. The new front wing, used exclusively by Max Verstappen in Singapore, features a different positioning of the hooks, which serve a key structural purpose for the elements. It looks like that could be the area where Red Bull have found some flex. The gain for Verstappen has been so big that Jacques Villeneuve has now called Verstappen his favourite to win the championship this season. Verstappen, and so it will be his best world championship ever. Because the 2 McLaren drivers are suffering too much from the pressure, they need to wake up. When speaking about which driver is the best over a single lap, Villeneuve continued, Max. And he is because he is the best, because he is old school. He's very good on the simulator, he even races on it, but he is good on the track. He understands things from practice. While the belief in Verstappen might be growing around the sport, he still has a lot of points to make up over the next 6 races. Realistically, his chances of pipping the 2 McLaren drivers to the title are still as good as nothing. Next season, though, will be a completely fresh start. There has been a lot of talk about Red Bull's engine project for next year. Creating their first ever F1 engine isn't going to be easy. They aren't expected to be competitive with the established manufacturers like Mercedes, Ferrari and Honda. However, for the very first time, there has been some positivity coming out of the Red Bull engine department, which Verstappen will be very happy about. Before I talk about that though, if you're enjoying the video and want to catch more news and analysis on Formula 1, then make sure to press the like button and subscribe to F1 Reverse. Thanks a lot. Red Bull Technical Director Pierre Vache has issued an update on his squad's challenger for the 2026 season. The car is being built under a brand new set of technical regulations, which includes a major revamp to the aerodynamic rules. It will also see a significant change to the power unit, and Red Bull will enter the new campaign with its own in-house built engine for the first time in its history. With the car set to hit the track for the first time in just over 3 months, all the talk has been about how Red Bull's first ever F1 engine could be a dud. However, Vache has provided a very first positive update on the power unit. With the power unit, it's difficult to say, but it looks very promising, he said. However, things are less certain when it comes to the performance of the chassis due to how teams will interpret the rules when constructing their challenges. On the car, there are new aerodynamic regulations and it's difficult to say, Vache added. There's a lot to find, difficult to know what the ideas the others will have. Normally, you learn a lot when you see the other car, you try to understand what everybody's doing. I hope we find a good direction, but you never know. It is a real crunch season for Red Bull next year. It isn't just about the new car, it's about retaining Max for the future. The 4-time world champion has only committed to 1 more season at Red Bull, despite having a contract for 2027 as well. He knows that if Red Bull aren't competitive next season due to an engine deficiency, then it isn't going to be a quick fix. It could take years for Red Bull's engine department to recover from a lack of power in the new regulations. If that does happen, then Verstappen will be on his way elsewhere for 2027. He isn't going to wait around for Red Bull to solve their problems. He isn't going to want to be racing in Formula 1 unless he's competing for championships. It is vital that Red Bull get this engine right, and Vache's positive comments are the first sign that they might be able to be competitive. The problem for all the teams though, including Red Bull, is that they only know how their own engine is doing. They have no stats on the other teams yet, no benchmarks to work against. They just have to try and extract as much performance as possible, and there will be plenty of fingers crossed at Red Bull that they have done enough. Have you been impressed by Verstappen's comeback this season? Do you think Red Bull can compete next year? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.